This is our passage plan. Galapagos 2, Marquesas.
Where we go?
5. So 3,000 miles in a straight line. And we have coming from the Humboldt Current, the trade winds coming up here. And they are at the moment about 2 days to the south of us, so about 400 miles directly south, and they're coming up, and we'll have a look at the weather in a bit. And so from here we have enough range. We're not going to go south, we're going to motor southwest, and we have a little bit of light variables. And once we get to once we get to 300 miles, which is 5 degrees, once we're about there, then the engine's going off, and it will go off until we get there.
Okay.
Okay.
We are leaving this way. We're leaving from Santa Cruz, from Puerto Ayora, and we are going to take the scenic route in between this to get that, and we'll be going past here at sunset. So you might even see some manta ray. We saw manta rays out here last time on the way back up. And then once we get there, we're going to be coming away from the land southwesterly.
So this is us leaving the Galapagos now
We
here,
may have some winds.
coming along here. Okay.
There's also
Jumping waves here.
there are going to be eddies here, so we're going to be going fast. We're going to be going slow.
Okay.
All of the current is slushing us around.
Okay.
There's really cool jumping waves. That's
Right.
really beautiful. That's really shallow.
All
Like that. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
These are our
Look at these, a chart
full
with nothing
scale
on them. These are which?
So these
Is it
two
all water?
join. So you have
that.
0, 0.
Mm-hmm.
This is 122 west, and this is 121 west. Okay,
Very cool.
so they're overlapping like that. And we are coming from here. So yeah, we're going to be going at least 300 miles, if not a little more. Down to here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be sailing across here, and then once we get there we're going to pick up these trades which are coming up, and then we are literally going straight across for 3 weeks, and we will end up coming down here, and we are aiming for Nuka Hiva, which
Nuka Hiva.
for the pandemic is the only port of entry for the French Polynesia. No one else wants us right now.
Okay.
But once we're in, we're in.
And that has us in all the islands, Tahiti, the whole lot then.
Yeah, that's us in French Polynesia in. So we've already sent off to the agent all of our forms and declarations, and we have applied for a quarantine waiver. So we have more than 5, or we have 5 on the boat. Any more or 5, then you need to apply for a quarantine waiver, which we have done.
Okay.
And so yeah, this is the one we're coming in at. We're probably going to end up coming up from the south, because as we approach, we're going to keep a bit of an angle that's going to bring us down, and then we're going to come back up on the other jibe. So we will most likely be going
One
past
maneuver.
all of this, carry on. So we'll see Hiva first, I imagine. And then we're coming in to Hiva, which
It's not actually
was...
on this, I don't think.
These are all the different bays, aren't they? They're all different
They're
bays.
the different anchorages.
Yeah, Bay
Bay
da
de
Ora.
Tahoa
Tahoa, it's so in there.
is this one.
Tahoa. Oh, da. Okay.
So this
That's
is
a nice
Napa
shelter,
Hiva.
isn't it?
That's a lovely bay. That's where we're going to be anchored.
And so we have the lights here, the leading lights coming in, and
It's fairly straightforward.
yeah,
okay.
we'll come in,
Yeah.
we'll avoid coming in at dark, but there's nothing out in the entrance
Okay, so it's nice and safe.
apart from this point coming off.
Great.
Yeah, so
Well, what's the depth there in the blue water?
blue water is under 10,
Okay.
So we'll be
so
further
we're fine to be on the 10-meter line.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have our charts paper,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Great.
we have 2 sets of digital charts loaded.
Okay. And you got the weather?
Yeah, this is the weather. We have the Navionics digital charts that
Yeah.
are going to follow us. We're going to come out past Isabella,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're going to head down and up to Marquesas. So we're probably going to clock about 3,200
Yeah.
by the time we come down and back up.
Okay.
And so we have our digital charts coming in. We're going to keep clear of that
Yeah.
on the way in.
Okay.
We have the same on here. This weather was updated today.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was a 15-day forecast, max res, max time interval, whilst we got 3G internet.
Okay.
And then I asked the software to give us a proposed route.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I go to the start here, so they're saying head straight for it. Head
Okay.
straight for it, a little bit south.
Okay.
Is that what Tib said as well?
And so you can see us coming along. There's going to be a little bit of wind, but not too much
Okay.
until we get there.
And then there's
Which is
the trades.
6 degrees of latitude there.
Okay.
And we're going to start taking the trades in.
Great. All the way in.
And then that's where the forecast finishes. But we'll be close enough by then.
Okay.
That's the rubbish man.
Brilliant. All right. Well, we're just about to push off now in a couple of minutes, but rain has just decided to come in. And it's pouring down. That's a lovely start to our 3,000 mile little trip across the Pacific to the Marquesas Islands, French Polynesia. But as you've seen, we're all sorted with our passage planning. So I'm going to do a bit of a safety briefing now in a minute. I think we're just going to stop and have a coffee, and hopefully this little rain squall will disappear, and then we'll start motoring. We're not going to have much wind for a couple of days, unfortunately, until we get into the trades, so it's just going to be very easy motor sailing. If we pick up something, absolutely brilliant, but we do have to be a bit careful with the fuel because we're 3,000 miles. So once we get into the trades, I think we'll have our wind. We've got our trade wind sail, our whopper, which is going to be interesting and absolutely brilliant to get to use, and I'll give you some footage on that also. But yeah, we'll talk to you later once we get going. Cheers. Right, goodbye Galapagos. Here we come, Marquesas. Got a couple of hoots from the other oysters, which is lovely.
Bye bye 4G.
Bye bye 4G. Bye bye Wi-Fi. Bye bye world. We shall see you in 3,000 miles. Bit of lunch as we get going. A couple of turtles have appeared on the bow, which is great. Let's see, we got a bit of salad, we got a bit of tuna, a bit of feta cheese, some nice homemade bread, and yeah, everyone's just getting into it now. Yeah, more lunch. Look at this. Great stuff. Morning campers, or should I say good evening. I wanted to show you our new watch system for our Galapagos to Marquesas Islands. We've just started today, 3,000 miles on Ruth 2, and I'm going to show you our watch system. There's 5 of us on board. Oh, I get a lollipop. Excellent. Everyone's in good spirits at the moment. Give them a couple of days, they'll be knackered. There you can see. Single watches. Which looks very constructive. Always when you want to do something, the VHF goes off. You can see it there. We're starting off. So we've all got 3-hour watches. Should work out well. Excellent. As we get into our first evening now, we've got some interesting cloud formation. What time is it now? Coming up to nearly 6 o'clock, so we've got about an hour left of tide. But look at this one. I think it's going to be a bit wet. So there's still the Galapagos coming out, and then this one up ahead here, I don't know whether you can see it, hopefully, that's a little volcano. I'll show it to you from the other side because it's like a horseshoe, but as you can see with the sky, it looks like we're going to get a bit of rain, a lot of rain, so it's going to be a lively night. Now whether we get any wind or not, I'm not too sure, but it's going to be interesting, or it might just disappear. Right, here we go. First swim in the Pacific, day 2, Galapagos to the Marquesas Islands. And as you can see, we're in the doldrums.
Is it wet?
Look at that, no wind. So, time for a swim. Go on, in you get. Go on, quickly, camera's on. Oh God. Look at that.
That's wet water.
Any sign of her?
Yes, she's fine.
Oh, brilliant.
Not a breath of wind at all. So, excellent time for James again, and I'm gonna head for a swim, cool down, And we're going to try and catch a bit of wind in that cloud over there, but I'm not too sure. I think we've got another day motoring to try and get into these trades. Dead, is it?
No, it's okay. I think it's okay. Did you test it?
No? Yeah. Looks like got a bit of wind ahead, look. Look at the sky.
Yeah.
Some of the boats. Day 2 on Route 2 from Galapagos to the Marquesas. We have James doing his sightings with John McGonigal taking photos of his new watch. Things are hotting up here on the day. James is going to be a model.
First of foot model.
Do you think anyone will notice the shadows are on?
Again, if they move.
It's a fine looking watch, John. We all look forward to getting one each for the team. We do have a bit of wind, which is nice because we still have to get through the doldrums. But we've got a nice bit of 10 knots here, which is great. We're trotting along at around, well, 4 knots, but hey, better than using the old engine. Rods are out, but we haven't caught anything yet. It's lunchtime again, so food is becoming an important part of the day, which is great. But yeah, all good here. We have one other oyster, Nikita. It is Nikita, isn't it? Yeah. Just behind us there, which is great. So we got a bit of company, and there's another 2 ahead of us. So there's 4 of us hunting together, which is nice. And the rest, I think, are going to leave in a couple of days from Galapagos to the Marquesas Islands. So yeah, all good on board. Well, day 3. As you can see, we've got some wind, but we are beating. So we haven't reached the trade winds yet to set us on our way to French Polynesia. But we have some lovely 15 to 17 knots at the moment. So we're just slightly cracked off in the hope to catch and get into those trade winds, hopefully maybe tomorrow. But I'll show you now. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see it. Other than that, it's a lovely day sailing. Hi, morning. This is Route 2 on our way to Marquesas Islands. We are out in the Pacific. We left Galapagos, I think, about 4 days ago. We're sort of losing track of days, time, everything really. I'd like to show you what's going on here with the crew. I tried to get them to do something a bit more sophisticated, but this seems to be a bit sort of, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what to explain. T-Rex or something or other. And then we have a timekeeper here to keep them going. As you can see, we've got a wind, which is great. And we've had this sort of northwesterly wind for the last 2 days. We haven't been into trade winds yet. But we do have wind of about 13 to about 12 knots. We had a bit of lightning last night, which was interesting. I was fast asleep, I didn't even hear it, which was good. But this is the instruments here, so you can see. Hopefully you can see that. There we go. We've got about 14 knots of wind, and we're doing about 8 knots of boat speed. We do have a bit of current, unfortunately, against us. But you can see the sea state's carbon, not too bad, and a bit of washing there. But we've got full sails up, and yeah, all goods on board. So hopefully, talk to you later. Cheers. Hi guys, Route 2 on our way from Galapagos to the Marquesas Islands. I think we're day 4. Some people say it's 3.5 because we left on a half day. But anyway, who's counting? Anyway, trying to find these elusive trade winds. Not there yet, but we've got into some sort of convergence zone, and we're going to get into all sorts of squalls and bits and pieces. I'm going to turn the camera around to you now so you can see. Sloppy seas because we've got a current. We had a current against us for most of the last 2 days, about 1.5 knots, and that's just changing now, and hopefully we'll start getting that with us a bit. We had about 20 knots of wind with us today, we've been heading south, and the whole idea is to push south, get into the trades and crack off once the winds go to northeast. Now they're at north at the moment, so they are starting to change, and we're in a bit of a sort of a lull at the moment, but as I turn the camera around you're going to see what we're looking at here. So we've taken the sails down until we see what we're going to be dealing with, but I reckon we will be turning the boat or jibing and then putting the sails back up maybe later and heading off. But it'll be interesting to see. We've got some dark clouds, so anyway, another half an hour before we see it, and if it's still daylight I'll get the camera on. Alright, talk later. Hi guys, welcome to Route 2 on our way to the Marquesas Islands from the Galapagos. It is day 4.5. Some of us are claiming it's 5, but it's actually 4.5. We had a really squally night, miserable night, trying to find these trade winds, and it's still fairly lucky. We had some real heavy rain squalls, low visibility, and just Irish sea stuff, to be honest with you. Something we really didn't expect. Now it's starting to brighten up now, but I'm going to show you in a minute. You're going to see the sea state. It's real lumpy and miserable, and we're still trying to go south and then start to veer off once we get it and get into northerly winds, but it hasn't happened yet. Hopefully maybe later today, but if I can show you there. Now that's an Izora race, isn't it? Just like the Irish Sea. Oh well, perfect for Paddy's Day, I suppose. Paddy's Day has given us the Irish weather, but we really hope it's going to start to brighten up now, because we've got so used to this lovely sunny, hot weather, and so on. Everyone's good on board. A bit tired. A couple of people have gone for a kip, but other than that, we're all fine. Chat to you later. Morning guys, it's about 7 AM. I think the 5th or 6th day, losing count here. Route 2 on the way from Galapagos to the Marquesas Islands. Still trying to find these elusive trade winds. I think we're sort of half in them, half out of them. We've got a bit of a low pressure we've had for the last day or two. It's kicked up some fairly messy seas and about 22 knots, 24 knots of winds and the squalls and rain. But hopefully the system will pass and we can get some nice trade wind sailing, but we certainly haven't got that yet. I'm going to put around the camera so you can see the sea state, just to give you an idea of what the Pacific can be like. It's not all sunshine and spinnakers up and G&Ts. What it's like. Hopefully this will be the last day of it. We've got a couple of days now of fairly sort of, yeah, getting bounced around the place or whatever. It's more like an Azora race than a Pacific booze cruise. But anyway, we've got about 2,300 miles to go, so we have these out into it a bit, and so still probably estimate about 15 days, 16 days, but yeah, all good, eating well. So I'd say we're going to run out of food. It's probably no surprise. We'll be on the tins and the bits and pieces at the end of it, I'd say. But we will look forward to getting into Marquesas, into a nice quiet anchorage after this. But anyway, hopefully we'll get some sun later. Well, barbecue in the trades on the way to the Marquesas Islands from Galapagos. And look, we have a little sea behind us, which will make things interesting. And there's a bit of a low pressure now for a couple of days. But anyway, we are barbecuing one way or the other. Of course, we're all waiting for the big wave to hit the barbecue, but it hasn't happened yet. This is tuna we caught, isn't it, James? What?
Mahi mahi.
Oh, mahi mahi. Okay, we didn't catch it. He caught it. Caribbean. Okay, we weren't on the boat then. Mexican night. Wow, that was good, James.
It's in the South Pacific.
The South Pacific. They're wet in the rain. Is that the fish?
The chicken is the mahis. Chicken mahi.
Ah, lovely. God, that looks good. That's lovely. Morning, good afternoon. Route 2 on our way to the Marquesas Island from Galapagos. We have a lovely trade wind sailing now. Finally, the rain is gone. We have a bit of sun and we have wind behind us, which is lovely. I'm going to show you there now. About 18 to 20 knots. A bit lumpy still, but nice behind us. Just the way we want it. Now, we caught a fish also, so I'm going to show you that fish now in a minute. Here we go. The lads are preparing it here. Look at that. What fish is it, James?
It's a little mahi mahi.
Little mahi mahi. Would you look at that? It's a tickler, all right. That's going on the barbecue tonight. Hopefully we might catch another one. So we're going to do a filleting session. We did hang him over the edge, so hopefully most of the blood is gone. Here we go. Look at that. Morning, afternoon. I think it might be day 8. We're sort of losing days, time and everything here on our way to the Marquesas Islands. You probably can't hear me because it's so windy, but I'm going to show you. Some of the crew are learning the sextant. So John is having to go getting a sight with a nice couple of big waves behind him. We have about 24 knots of wind just behind us, and we're flying along. And luckily the rain has stopped, so we've got a bit of a respite and a dry. But he's having great fun trying to steady the sextant, as you can see.
So you lost what you had to start. If you think you had it, get rid of your horizon, alright? Please.
Table's working out, John?
They sell out the dogs all the time. I have lived near dogs and they drop them.
Get back to
Good. Day 7 or 8, I've lost count at this stage. Anyway, we're in the trades on our way to the Marquesas Islands from Galapagos. We have a nice little swell behind us again and about 23 knots of wind. All good, bit sloppy, but sure. I'm trying to show you the sea state. It never works out really on camera. Always looks small. And sure it is. Windsurfing weather. As you can see, we're using a spinnaker pole on the jenny. We have about 1 reef, 2 reefs on the jenny as well. About 25 knots of wind. We had about 30 knots earlier on. So we're just sailing a bit conservatively. Main's in a good bit as well. Actually still averaging about 8 knots. I think our ETA now is about 11, 12 days. If this wind keeps up, which it probably won't. We'll die off a bit. Still haven't seen a boat in about 6 days now at this stage. Not a sausage. All very quiet. Even the wildlife's actually quite quiet. No boobies anymore. Lots of flying fish, that's about it really. Morning, route 2. This is, I think, 8.5 days in from our journey from Galapagos to Marquesas Islands. We're certainly in the trade winds now. We've got about 23 knots, 20 to 23 knots. So it has calmed down a little bit. You can see the sea behind me there. Calming down a bit. Still a nice bit of pressure. The sun is coming up. It's about 7 AM here. And all is good. Haven't seen a boat in about 7 days. I think we have a Delia 2, another Oyster to our right. We might see her later on today. She's about 60 nautical miles away from us. So that would be interesting. It would be nice to see someone else. Other than that, it's all very quiet. Most of the crew are still asleep. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see. Our autopilot is doing a sterling job. He's been on since the start. And this is cruising in the Pacific. All very chilled. Crew are all asleep. I'm on watch now till 9 AM. And then someone else comes on. And we're doing 3-hour shifts. And then during the day we sort of, well, most people are up anyway. But yeah, all is good on board. A bit of fishing, but no fish yet, unfortunately. We'll try again later. And I think this wind is going to stay here. Hopefully we'll get a bit of sun out. It looks like it's going to brighten. Would be nice. But other than that, all good.
On the 21st, and we have caught a rather large fish. James is ready with the gaff, Andrew's ready with the gloves, and John has had enough of a workout to last him the rest of the day. We're trying to get him on board. There he is, there in the distance. Other than the obvious, a fish. Oh my goodness, it's huge! Getting the deck wet. We've filled a fish full of Liam's best rum for some strange reason. Stopped him flicking, and he's about to come on board if Andrew doesn't go overboard with the fish. Ready? Okay, here he comes. What's it called? A wahoo. Oh my goodness. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Look at the size of that thing! Oh, now what are we going to do?
Bring him into the hatches so you don't.
That's the biggest fish you ever caught, John?
It is.
By a long shot, I'd say.
Well, of course,
You're going to need some flies.
So this is our wahoo. So how many fillets do you reckon we have, James?
$15.
15. Wow.
It was a wonky fish.
That's a lot of eating. That's That's great. Finally, after 9 days maybe, in the trades, on the way from Galapagos to the Marquesas Islands, we finally got our trade wind sail up. The whopper, the big one, the one that's going to make all the difference, we've been told. And I think I've got a time lapse, so you're going to see that in a minute. But I'll show it to you again in video form. There she is, look at that. What a beauty. Now the wind has gone quite light. It's down to about 13 knots now, and the sea is starting to flatten off, which is nice. So it has been quite a bumpy, I think 5 days now at this stage, with about 25 knots of wind, 20-25 knots of wind, making good speeds, but we were a bit of a roly-poly. But anyway, this is nice, and this is what we were told in all the brochures that trade wind sailing is all about. So maybe the next 5 days. I think our ETA now is about 8 days. If it's light though, it could go to a bit more. We'll get some real enjoyable sailing. Anyway, over and out.
You're saying day what?
We think we're at 12 days at sea. This is Ruth 2 from Galapagos to the Marquesas Islands. And now we're already arguing as to what day we've been at sea and how long it is to go. So that's always a good start. Anyway, I'm going to show you. We still have some lovely wind. Bit of a rolly sea, but still very nice. I think we've got about 17 to 20 knots of wind. And I'm going to show you along here our little trade wind sail that I showed you the video of the other day, which we had great fun with, but unfortunately we had a halyard issue yesterday evening, so she had to come down and we're going to put a new halyard up. The lads are just doing some whipping and putting some extra, what do you call that, John?
It's
Dyneema cover to stop the chafing, because with all the rolly seas there's a fair bit of chafing going on at the top. So there's a bit of work to do, and the Jenny had the same issue, and up, I don't know whether you can see it, but the black protection we did as well, because when it was in the pole, at the pole, it's starting to wear and tear a bit, but sure, that's all expected when you're doing 2,500 miles, I suppose. Other than that, everything good. A couple of fly fish on the deck as usual, lovely and warm. And for the first time last night we found some fishing boats with some big lines out, which weren't on IIS, so that caused a bit of fun for a while. But now we're back on our own and as normal. So, talk to you later.
Awesome for the new halyard.
Yes. Well, on our way to the Marquesas, and as you can see, we're doing a bit of splicing. We had a halyard failure last night on the trade wind sail, so that's down, neatly packed on deck. But John and James are sternly putting some extra protection on our new halyard, because they are fraying a fair bit, because we've had them up a lot. As you can see, that is Dyneema protection, is it, John? Yeah?
Yes, it's a Dyneema cover.
Yeah.
And we have flaked the threads.
Excellent.
We've stripped the threads back. So
Yeah.
we've divided all the threads.
Okay.
And now we're splicing them
all the way in.
We're weaving them into the rope.
Excellent.
And we're tapering it. So I've just taken one strand out here.
Yeah.
Every few centimeters you take another strand out, so as the taper reduces.
Yeah, it goes in, yeah.
And,
Brilliant. And that'll be ready for the morning halyard. So we'll get the
Hopefully.
trade wind up. No pressure, John, but there is a race on. As part of the Oyster World Rally, we are in third position and we want
It'll
second.
be ready by dawn.
Oh, well, that's good, man. Good stuff. And as you can see, we're coming into the evening now. We're getting lighter evenings. It's about 8 o'clock. It used to be dark around 6, so that's nice. Oh, we've got about 18 knots of wind, which is good. So we're still under a bit of pressure as we get into our watch system now. Right, talk to you tomorrow. Morning, day 15, are on our way from the Galapagos to the Marquesas Islands on Route 2. We have some of the crew doing some workout, but can't stop laughing. It's trying to get the coordination with the leg up and the T-Rex. Man titty maneuver. Anyway, looks great. Weather's good. Wind has come down a little bit. We're down to about 15 knots. We're still wing on wing, which I will show you here. Trade wind is still on the deck, but the good news is we do have our new halyard ready to go with the protection, which I'm going to show you later. It is, in fact, I'll show it to you here now. This is the protection that John put on last night, and James, which is a Dyneema extra protection. You can see it all the way there to make it last a bit longer. You wouldn't believe the wear it actually gets on the top. So hopefully when it stops to get a little bouncy, we might try get that back on maybe later on today. But it's only about, I think about 10 o'clock, and it's very warm already, so it's going to be a hot day. Anyway, good sailing, and I think our ETA is about 3 to 4 days now. So we're getting there and getting excited. Chat later. Hi guys, good afternoon. This is our day 15 or 16, I'm not too sure, to the Marquesas Islands. We're nearly there. So it's now boat scrubbing time and make sure the boat's going to be really sparkling clean before we get to our anchorage. So as I turn around, here we're going to see the crew in action. Look at this. Look at this. We've a lot to do. We've got chrome to do. We've got the music on, and we've got all the cleaning products out. We can see.
It's a meadow.
The sea's been kind to us also. Fortunately, we don't have much wind. Only got about 12 knots. So the trade wind is working, but it's working hard to get us going at all. But we have a nice sea state, which is nice. So it's nice and calm, so that means we can get stuff done on the boat. There's the trade wind up there. Looking great as always. But anything below 10 knots you still struggle a bit. But anyway, right, I better get back to scrubbing, and we'll catch you later, so cheers. Morning guys. It's about 8 AM here, so it's starting to get light. We've just had a beautiful sunrise behind me, and believe it, the moon only just came up about an hour ago before, very late down here. But wind has dropped, unfortunately. We're about 2 days out from Marquesas Islands, so we're looking forward to that. We've been busy scrubbing decks and getting the boat ready. We're still on the trade wind sail, which I'll show you now. Still going strong all night, which is great. You can see the sea state has dropped a bit, and we still have that bit of an ocean as well. But it's nice and pleasant. Everyone's still asleep, and they'll be up shortly, I presume, hopefully. Well, I can get a kip. But anyway, all good on board. Chat to you later. Hi guys, day 16. Nearly there, 200 miles to go to the Marquesas Islands from Galapagos. This is a typical sort of lovely evening sun. Sun's starting to go down now, and oh, very peaceful. It's about 11 knots of wind, not much wind unfortunately. But we still have our trade wind sail up, and we're sort of doing about 6 knots. A lot of the other boats in the Oyster World Rally are motor sailing, and have lost a lot of the wind, so we're lucky we still have a bit of breeze, and this sail seems to catch it, which is brilliant. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see the lovely sun now in a minute, and the sea state. There you go. Isn't that gorgeous? All very nice. We saw the first boat today, motorboat, heading up to Gibraltar from the Marquesas Islands. He called in and gave us a bit of a chat, which was nice. It's the first boat we'd seen in about 4 or 5 days, so that was nice. We haven't seen much. Birds starting to increase a bit. A couple of shearwaters, storm petrels, blue-footed booby, and but not much else really. It has been disappointing on that front, but I'm hoping as we get close to the islands we're going to see a little bit more. No whales unfortunately, that would have been really nice, but it has actually been quite quiet. I mean, thousands of flying fish, and they're on the deck most mornings as well, in the rougher waters, but when it got quite calm, luckily they were able to stay in the water. But other than that, not much. The crew are, I'll turn around, you can see they're doing puzzles and soft shackles as we start doing a bit of maintenance on the boat and preparing her for dock. Still have a bit of work to do. We've polished the chrome and we've got to do the decks, and we've got to do a bit of polishing tomorrow. It's very hot today, it's about 35 degrees, which is really hot, but we waterproofed the canopy and stuff and bits and pieces. Anyway, happy evening, talk to you tomorrow. Well guys, I think it's day 18, 31st of March, I think. And we're about 60 miles to go to the Marquesan Islands. All getting very excited here. We've just spotted land, which is one of the Marquesan Islands, not the one we're going to. And I don't think you're going to be able to see it. But it's about 20 miles over there, which is highly exciting. So we've all done our land ahoy. We've got some booby birds starting to circle the boat, which is the welcoming committee, no doubt. As you can see, we're still in spring cleaning. All the carpets out, washing them, trying to get everything, all the details on the boat done so we can enjoy it. We've got our courtesy flags up, and the yellow flag is the check-in flag, and that flag will go down as soon as we get checked in. And I think our arrival ETA tonight is around 12 o'clock our time, but then it's 3 hours behind, which is around 9 o'clock their time. So we'll probably have to stay in the boat till tomorrow morning before we get checked in. But the anchorage and docking looks fairly straightforward, so we're going to give it a lash. We're motoring along here quite nicely. There's no wind, unfortunately, but still about 35 degrees, really hot, and we're going to stick at it. Everyone getting excited on board now that all they're thinking about is beach bars, pina coladas, all that usual good stuff that everyone wants to see. So anyway, catch you later. Right, we finally made it. 3,000 and what? 165 miles. 18 days? Yeah? 18?
Maybe.
Something.
If you count
18
first day.
Open to
weeks.
interpretation.
We're here anyway, the Marquesans, at 1 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Successfully anchored, and we finally got a drink. So, congratulations guys,
Cheers.
well done.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Congratulations.
Well done,
Well
Skipper.
done, everyone. Well done, Skipper.
Cheers.
Brilliant,
Well
Skipper.
done.
Cheers,
Yeah,
Skipper.
well done.
Morning guys. Finally, we made it around 1 a.m. last night. It was very dark to get any shots, so well, here we are. We've woken up to this gorgeous little anchorage in Hiva in Marquesan Islands. All very quiet. You can see a few boats knocking around behind me, and we're just gonna get the boat ship shape and then hopefully head ashore later on. But a journey of about, I don't know, 3,300 odd miles, about 18 days. Lovely passage, and here we are. We're going to stay here for a couple of days before we start heading off towards Tahiti, which will be our next stop. I'm going to just put the camera around so you can see where we are, and talk to you later.